Alright, I'm gonna be making a jewelry box for my next project. In today's video, I'm gonna show you how to make a lock joint. So here I am setting up the table saw. The thickness of the material I'll be using is gonna be 3/8. So I'm setting that blade at about 3/16. And there I am doing the rabbet. And on this one I'm doing the dado. Using my miter saw gauge here, I felt like it's a little bit safer doing it like this than the way I was attempting to do it. I could be a little more accurate. And basically I'm just creeping up on that cut, keeping it almost exactly 3/16. And here I am doing the rabbet again on those sides. You'll have rabbets on 2 of your sides, and you'll have dados on 2 sides of your stacks, and then dados on 2 sides of your stock, excuse me. And here I'm doing basically a stock dado. Very carefully. I had some lines drawn right there on the sacrificial fence, telling me where to start, and then I have another line behind that telling me where to stop. Because these are if I would have went through dados, then you would have been able to see it from the outside, so I didn't want that. You want to be very careful when you're doing this movement right here. And then on the other sides, the other 2 sides, you can just do 2 dados on there. And these dados are for the bottom piece, which here I am right here with some 8-inch stock, almost 3/16. And just cutting it down to size here. And now I'm gonna put all the pieces together. More or less just gonna do the dry fit here, make sure everything is gonna fit correctly before I put the glue on. Everything fits great, and as you can see coming up, this is a close-up of what the lock joint looks like. It's staying together without any glue. So of course once you add glue, it's going to be really strong. And taking the dry fit apart and going to gluing it up. Whenever you're making these dados, you have to take into accountability also that you're going to have glue in there, and the wood is going to expand a little bit once you add that glue to it. So you do have to make the dados just slightly bigger than what your exact measurement would be. And now I'm going to clamp it up. So once again, this is what a lock joint looks like, and this is going to be the first part of my jewelry box build. All right, here we go. The next day, we're gonna finish up this jewelry box, and I am gluing together the lid. And now I'm gonna put some glue inside those cracks. There was a lot of checking on this wood, but I didn't want it to go to waste. So filling it up with glue, hopefully it's gonna strengthen it up so it won't crack anymore or whatnot. And clamping it up now. And since these were only 3/8 inch thick, I didn't want to put a whole lot of pressure because I didn't want them to bow up. So after a few hours, I let the top dry. And now I'm going to glue the top to the box and spread some glue here. Taking my time, as you can see. And you can see it's a little oversized, but that's okay. This way I know that I will have it square on there, and you'll see how I do that here in a moment. And clamping the top down, trying to get even pressure all the way around. Alright, again, after a few hours, I'm gonna take the clamps off. Okay, I'm gonna use a table saw here to get the majority of the excess off. And just basically gonna get about 1/4 to 3/8 from the box itself. Getting the blade raised up just above the wood. I've got a flush trim bit on the router, and as you can see, it's going to take that excess off. I'm trying to do just little small passes on it. I don't want to just take all the wood off at one time, because that'll happen. As you can see, that little chip out. I'll be able to correct that later on. And I switched over to the chamfer bit, and this is the top part, the lid part. This more or less is just more of a decorative type deal. And that's basically where I took care of that tear out. I let the chamfer bit go past the tear out, and that pretty much took care of it. And at this point, I'm going to cut the lid off now. Using the table saw. Turn it up right, and as you can see, I'll make 4 passes. Yeah, make sure that you raise the blade up enough to go completely through the wood, and those corners is probably the thickest area. fast cut. As you see, release the top. And now, so the lid and the box have a nice tight fit. I've got sandpaper taped to a flat piece of plywood, and this way you do this and it'll be flat on both sides, on the box itself and the lid. As you can see, the line almost disappears. And instead of using hinges on this, I'm just gonna put these pieces inside the box, and the lid is just gonna go over the top of them, and that will be what holds the lid on. I'm just doing a dry fit here. And that shows you how it works. And now I'm gonna go ahead and glue them in place. Applying clamps to make sure that they are pressed up against the box. And here I took my woodpecker ruler, and I'm transferring some marks from one side to the other. And the reason I'm doing this here, this is going to be the divider inside the jewelry box, and I'm going to use half laps, and I'm going to use the router to cut these half laps. I could have went with the dado stack on the table saw, but really the router table is a lot easier to set up. And I put a backer piece on that miter gauge, and two things: one, it prevents tear out, and two, it allows me to go all the way through without hitting my miter gauge. Both pieces. And here I am gluing them up, and I set them inside the box just so they would remain square as the glue dried, and I knew that it was going to fit. And here I'm using red oak stain on red oak wood. Really brings out that wood grain really nice. Wipe off the excess. Stain in the bottom. Now I'm staining the dividers that are going to go inside the box. And I'm going to flock the inside of this, and before you flock, you've got to seal up the inside so the glue will have something to adhere to, or the glue won't soak into the actual wood. So I'm using lacquer here, and mainly because it's fast drying, and I have plenty of it readily available. So I'm just doing all the surfaces that I'm going to put the flocking glue on. And here's where I flock up. This right here is the glue, and it's red, as you can see, which means the flocking particles, powder, fabric, whatever you want to call it, it's going to be red as well. So there again, like I said, you apply the glue to all the surface that you want to have flocked. Okay, and this is the powder, material, whatever you want to call it, little particles. You load it inside this tube right here, and it kind of reminds me of one of those old-timey sprayers when you were exterminating mosquitoes and all that back in the day, back in, you know, the early 1900s or whatnot. That's what it reminds me of. And filling it full, not full, but I'm putting a little bit inside this tube, and you'll see in a moment what I'm talking about. And you just pump it, and you get all, wherever you have glue, you get coverage. And it's okay to overdo it. And the good thing about it is whatever doesn't stick to the glue, the excess, you can reuse. So you'll see in a moment. I just go ahead and I put it back inside the bag after it dries for about 24 hours. And it does make a mess, so. But it's easy cleanup though. And like I said, I'm taking the excess that didn't stick to the glue and dumping it back in the bag, and you can reuse it. Placing the divider on the inside, and I was kind of worried that since it's such a tight fit, it was going to take some of the flocking off the side, but it actually didn't. It actually held up really well. And now I'm putting the finish on. It was around this time that I got to thinking, I forgot to put a handle on this so you can take the lid on and off with it. So here I am, I'm using my cove bit on another piece of red oak, scrap piece that I had out of the scrap bin, and using the cove bit to kind of make like a little handle. Do both sides, raise the bit up slightly, and then also scoot the fence back a little bit. Do that a few times and gives you a little handle. I'm going to change bits to the round over bit, and just going to round over the top part of the handle, but on the sides, basically just to kind of just soften it up a little bit so it's not so rough to the touch. Like I said, this was a scrap piece. This piece of wood actually used to hold my router bits. And since I'd already sprayed the finish on there, I'm going to sand that finish off where I'm placing the handle, just so it'll be wood on wood contact for the glue. Trying to be real careful to only get in the spot where handle this. Putting just a slight bit of glue in there because I don't want a lot of squeeze out. And then I'm gonna use my combination square to make sure it's lined up, dead center. There we go. Press it down a little bit. And here's the end result right here. And there again, please give me a thumbs up, comment. I always like to hear what y'all think about it. Subscribe to the channel if you're not. Hit the notification button. And again, thanks for watching.